everybody for your patience. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:06. And before we get started, I just want to let board members know I have an addition to the agenda. We are in need of an executive session, which will take place after the consent agenda. And we did get word yesterday afternoon from Nate that he's not quite ready for a presentation. So item A under board management and governance will have to be, we won't be able to do that tonight because Nate's not available. All right. As we get started in this meeting, I'd like first to recognize that there's a heightened level of emotion impacting all of us given the last year and a half. And everyone's on edge and feeling stressed. I wanted to share with everyone a message that I shared with the staff on the opening day. So I see some staff are present, and I'm sorry you have to hear it again, but I didn't get to deliver it in person. So, as a child, I remembered watching the movie Dr. Dolittle. And the best part of that whole movie for me was the push me, pull me. I remember being a kid being fascinated by it. And when Patrick invited me to the first day of school, I was wondering to myself, what possibly could I say after the last year and a half that could have any impact on people as they're getting ready for another school year? And that's when I started thinking about that push me, pull me. I thought about it, and I thought about how there was only one way it could work, is if it worked together. You know, sometimes one part led and sometimes the other part led. And so I'm sure there are days when it feels like that right now, and a little bit of push me, pull me. And I want everyone to know that the board recognizes how challenging things can be moving forward, then backwards, going this way and then that way. We do recognize the hard work, kindness, and dedication and courage it takes to keep going when it's moving like that. Coming up is a time for public comment. And this time is set aside for the board to hear comments about agenda items or sometimes other items. We have guidelines about public comment printed at the bottom of our agenda. If a comment is made about an agenda item, you can expect that probably later on in the meeting, you might be hearing some information about something you asked or brought up. If a comment is made about something else, on behalf of the board, I want you to know we are listening. As outlined in our guidelines, public comments regarding personnel or legal matters will not be heard by the board, and comments on student matters are never heard in public session. If a comment is made that identifies a staff member or a student, I need to let everybody know that I will have to have the camera shut off and I will have to stop the speaker. We, the board, will be here listening. I did speak to one of the larger groups, and they said they were going to have a spokesperson because we have 15 minutes for public comment. So if you have another large group, I'm not sure who is with who, but if you have another large group and you can designate a spokesperson, that's fine. So we'll get started at 6:10, and we have 15 minutes to hear public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? And Zoom people, before we get started, I just want to remind you to mute yourselves because it's hard to hear in the room when we hear your voices in the background. So if you're not speaking, would you mute yourself, please?
Are we going to do public comment here and then?
Yeah, I'll start public comment here, and then if we get time, we will move to the Zoom.
And did you need to go up to the level?
Yeah, we'll just need you to come closer if you're going to speak. So come forward, and just because the mic's up here and the Zoom people can't hear if you're not close.
Do you want me to go up to the mic? Or
just to the edge of the table is probably better, so you're closer. And just if you'll announce your name so the minute taker can get it.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Murnane. I'm a second grade teacher at Bristol Elementary School. I'm speaking to you this evening on behalf of the VES teachers and staff at the Mount Abraham Education Association to share the dire safety issues at VES and ask that you take swift action to address them. The staff at VES are here united together to say that our school is not safe. Existing policies have repeatedly put students and staff in harm's way. The status quo is simply not sustainable. We are here before you because our prior repeated efforts to address these critical safety concerns at lower levels have so far been unsuccessful. There is a process outlined in our collective bargaining agreement for addressing work-related issues, and we believe strongly in that process. We have attempted to use that process to address the unsafe conditions that students and staff are experiencing in our school. In this instance, that process is simply not timely or responsive enough to deal with the immediacy and severity of our safety concerns. Last Thursday, October 7th, the safety situation at BES became so volatile that 2 classrooms were relocated to alternative workspaces and 1 classroom was severely damaged. During these incidents, children were hiding and crying in fear, and staff members were injured. Hallways were cleared, and students and staff remained in the learning space they were in with their doors locked. Later that same day, the staff at BES spoke with Superintendent Reen for over an hour, expressing our concerns and fears. Many staff members remained at school that evening until 7 o'clock and after to reassemble a teammate's classroom for instruction the next day. The following day, Friday, October 8th, there were at least 7 secure the hallway calls from our office, in which staff and students were instructed to immediately enter a classroom and lock the door. In this school year, our students are unsafe. Our staff is unsafe. Learning environments and learning tools have been damaged. Workplaces and learning for all grade levels have been disrupted. Student work is routinely ripped from the hallway walls, and a general sense of fear and helplessness has permeated our school. We are strong supporters of trauma-informed interventions for addressing students in crisis, including those exhibiting violent and destructive behavior. However, in order for those practices to be effective and safe for students and staff, they must be accompanied by adequate staffing, training, resources, and appropriate procedures for their implementation. Therefore, we are asking you to take immediate action to address this situation. Specifically, we are asking for you to implement the following remedies and policies. Number 1, provide for the safe removal of students who endanger the safety of themselves, other students, or staff to an alternative and safe workplace until their behavior has been assessed by a professional mental health crisis team. Parents and guardians have been contacted. A meeting with parents and guardians has been set up and scheduled. The classroom teacher and staff members have been apprised of the situation, and the child has remained calm, safe, and in control for 24 hours before returning. Number 2, provide one-to-one behavioral support for students who endanger the safety of students or staff at BES. Number 3, provide a clear plan for immediate response in situations in which a student endangers the safety of staff or students. Number 4, ensure that all staff who work with students who have displayed unsafe behavior are made fully aware of the behavior plan and kept up to date on any changes. Number 5, ensure that the classroom teacher is involved and given voice in the development and implementation of these behavior plans. Number 6, ensure that the proper procedures are implemented to bring an end to this violence so that all students can learn in a safe and appropriate environment. Number 7, hire a licensed mental health professional to assist with the current situation, provide training to staff, and be available to help and consult with the staff at BES. Our school has become a place of unrest when it should be a safe haven, a trusted place where children and adults learn and grow. We need your help. We are asking for your help. We ask that you take immediate action on this serious and dangerous situation. Respectfully, the staff at Bristol Elementary School. We have a few more people, just wanted to share some specific examples.
Hi, my name is Sarah Mangini, and I'm a 4th grade teacher at Bristol Elementary. And I've compiled just a general overview of some of the safety and behavior incidents that have been happening, frankly, in the last couple of years, with more of an emphasis on recent events. And I do want to assure you that I'm showing trends and examples without identifying students and staff involved. But I do think people need to know what's going on. I'm going to start with examples that show physical harm to individuals, students, and staff. Over the last year or so, students have been scratched, bitten, and punched. They've had objects such as scissors and rocks thrown at them. In addition, sometimes students come so close to harm's way they come close to harm's way when another student is shoving classroom furniture around, and they have to get pulled to safety. Staff members also have been bitten, spit on, kicked, punched, urinated on, hit by thrown objects. They've also been verbally threatened by students. Some have had to lock themselves into a room in order to be safe. There's been some significant property damage at Bristol Elementary. Physical damage to the building includes holes in the walls, baseboards ripped off. Reinforced safety glass, the kind by doorway entrances, has been chipped by rocks thrown at him. In recent days, several vehicles parked in one of the school parking lots have been damaged. They've been scratched, dented by rocks, and so on. Classroom materials are getting destroyed. You heard about last Thursday, and other times as well. Student Chromebooks, projectors for the classroom, bookshelves, school landline phones, the old-fashioned kind, electrical cords ripped from the wall. Furniture has been damaged, such as metal chairs getting dented. Now we have our first open house in 2 years is tomorrow night. But we have recently had student artwork and other displays ripped off the walls, otherwise ruined. It makes it disheartening to get ready. Expensive music equipment is getting destroyed. For example, the school piano has been damaged beyond repair. Until it's replaced, and that's estimated at a cost up to a couple of $1,000s, there is no piano available for use by students at the moment. Students and staff's personal belongings are getting broken, water bottles, staff cell phones and such, and also items used by custodial staff. Fans, wet floor signs, anything in the hallways gets damaged sometimes. Now, it's important to note the effect of all this on students' well-being, emotional well-being, and physical well-being. Some students who directly witness such events are showing signs of being very afraid. If a classroom is under attack, before students can get evacuated to safety, some are crying, dropping to the floor crying. Even if the situation in a particular classroom is under control, for some, a few kids, younger kids, hearing a clear the halls announcement triggers fears for some of the affected students because they're afraid they're going to get targeted by a particular student. Now, in 2 recent school days following an especially tricky day last Thursday, 11 students on Friday and then 12 the following Monday, yesterday, were absent from school in a particular grade. And as a point of reference, a typical absence rate for a particular grade level is like 2 to 4 absences per grade level. So 11 and 12 kind of jump out. There have been instances when a group of students has had to remain locked in their classroom in order to keep a threatening student away from them. And this subjects the kids who are in the room to screaming, banging or kicking at the classroom door, and hearing obscenities yelled at them. Now, it definitely has an effect on student learning in some cases, many cases. Literacy, math, and other lessons have been cut short many times when one or more students has caused a major disruption right in the classroom. Such events, of course, interrupt other students' learning. Classes such as art and music have similarly been disrupted. Even if they're relocated to an alternate learning space, they're often close by enough that they can hear noise from the student left behind, making a disruption, maybe in the music room or something. Students who receive specialized instruction as part of their individualized learning plan or IEP, they sometimes miss part or all of their scheduled small group or one-on-one instruction because they literally can't get to that instruction if there's a clear the halls announcement. When a student is in an escalated state and moving around the building, the decision is made to clear the halls in order to partly to protect that student's privacy, of course, but also to maintain safety of everyone else. And Bristol recently experienced a day with at least 7, maybe 8 clear the hall announcements. Then they're followed subsequently by a notification that it's all clear to move through the building. And that results in a total of 14 to 16 announcements, which of course means 14 to 16 interruptions to learning. It even affects students in totally different parts of the building. Sometimes their recess or lunch times get cut short because of a clear the hall announcement, or maybe a decision to move kids off the playground. Similarly, outdoor PE classes, at least on one occasion, ended early because the instructor out there didn't want upper grade students to witness a younger student who was causing the disruption. Some upper grade students have expressed that they're worried about their younger siblings' safety when an announcement is made to clear the hall. They're feeling worried about their first or second or third grader. When doors to shared or common spaces are locked for safety reasons in order to keep an escalated student out, other students can't readily access that room. So for example, it's harder to come in and browse for books at the school library when the door is locked. I'm almost done, but it also is affecting staff greatly. Classroom teachers whose classrooms get destroyed are distraught. And when I say destroyed, I want you to imagine a tornado coming through and leaving a trail of destruction. That's the level I'm talking about. One recently needed to re-enter her room in order to get her car keys. The student was still in there, causing major damage to everything in the room. She needed to get her keys to leave, but she was afraid that if the student saw her, that student would come after her. In some cases, when students are physically aggressive toward a staff member, that staff member's clothing has been ripped or otherwise destroyed. And finally, well-qualified, talented teachers are starting to wonder whether it's time to quit. So in closing, I realize that the information being presented tonight might take many on the school board by surprise. This perhaps is the first you've heard of the issue. And for that reason, I would strongly encourage the school board and our teachers and staff to find a way for information to be shared on a regular basis. And perhaps each month at one of the board meetings, we employees could share some highlights of our work with students, as well as some of the general challenges that we've been facing, without going into specifics about students in classrooms. And I'm hopeful that moving forward, we can find a way to ensure that Bristol Elementary School is a safe and welcoming environment for all students and staff. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Thompson. I'm a classroom teacher. Since the beginning of the school year, my students have witnessed violence, destruction of property, and heard profanity from students at BES. This students' violence has caused students to be displaced from their classroom for multiple hours, sometimes in locations where no learning materials are available. Not only has the displacement caused the students to miss learning time, it has also made students feel unsafe as they witness this student being aggressive towards adults and their safe space. Last Thursday,
Take your time.
Just do the best. You want to read the ending? Read the ending. Don't be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about.
sorry, this is just hard reading. On October 7th, the safety concern got to a new level. Around 2 p.m., we had to evacuate the classroom as the student entered the classroom in an aggressive manner and was throwing objects at adults and in the classroom. Outside, students expressed fears about their safety, their things, and their hard work in our classroom being destroyed. We entered back into the classroom at 2:45 where I found that the child broke our document camera for the projector, my closet door, and math equipment needed for teaching. We entered the classroom and I locked and shut the door behind me. At 3 p.m., the child returned to the classroom, still escalated, and tried to get into our classroom. Since the doors were locked, the child was unable to enter. The student proceeded to slam on the door, kick it, and run their body into the door. The student was yelling for me to open the door. The child repeatedly stated, open the door, you effing, open the effing door. Open the door, you effing B, as they ran their body into the door. The strength of this child was visibly shaking the door. My other students were scared and trapped in the classroom. My students were crying and screaming, and students were hiding under tables and in my classroom library bookshelf. The following day, the child was taught upstairs in an alternative learning space. However, the child tried multiple times to come back into our classroom by kicking the door, slamming his body into it, and yelling. On Friday, we had 7 clear the halls. Now I keep my door locked at all times, and I have to stop instruction to let my students or other adults into my classroom. Students gasp when they hear someone knocking on our door. My students don't feel safe. I fear for my safety every day at work, and I fear for my student safety and academic success in the learning environment. This is not what I want my students to think of when they think about school, and this is not what school should be like.
Thank you.
Looks like Sally has waited her hands up, so Sally, over.
Hi, can you hear me?
Not yet. Try again.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm having a hard time following up with what I just heard, but I guess this is my chance to speak. I wanted to make a comment about an item on your upcoming agenda for tonight. Item number 3, with 2 items, 3B and 3C, about defining the closure of a school. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sally Ober. I'm a resident of Lincoln. I am also the town clerk in Lincoln. And today I dug out a copy of the ballot from 2016, November 2016, when all the 5 towns voted to merge. Can you not hear me very well? You're okay, all right. When all 5 towns voted to merge into the MAUSD school district. That ballot was 3 pages long, and it highlighted some of the major components of what it would mean to merge into the MAUSD school district. The articles of agreement that bind us now are very long. It's a long document. I can't remember how many pages it is, but it's very long. But this ballot highlighted some of the most important parts of that agreement. And one of them on the ballot, not hidden and only known by the school boards, but on the ballot to the voters who voted, it talks about the clause on school closure and says that if a school is going to be closed, the town in which that school building is located gets to vote on whether they agree with it or not, along with the school board. Now, I am just disturbed that our school district and even our towns are considering spending money on lawyers to debate what it means to close a school. But if I could use a different example, and let's just say that we take Lincoln General Store for an example, or a general store in New Haven or Moncton, and we take all the food and the beverages and the people who work in that store and the people who shop in that store, and we say, you all have to take all your business down to Shaw's in Bristol and do all your shopping down there. And if you ask the people of that town, if that building has been repurposed for some other reason, in fact, I believe there was a general store in Starksboro that was repurposed into someone's home. And if you ask the people of Starksboro what happened to their general store, I believe they would say it was closed. So whether you want to define moving everybody and everything about a school out of a building and taking it elsewhere as being repurposed or closed, I would argue that it's closed and the articles of agreement are binding, and that's how the school board should vote. So tonight, I hope you're going to vote, and I hope you think in your mind, whether, no matter what fancy lawyers say about this, that moving children out of a school and not going to their school anymore is closure, and it demands that we follow the articles of agreement. They weren't optional, they're to be followed. And that's all I really want to say. And I'm actually way more concerned about what I just heard in Bristol. So thank you.
Thank you, Sally. So this will be the end of our public comment. There is a short one at the end of the meeting. And I just wanted to say to everyone, sometimes when a situation arises in our learning community, we often hear about it during public comment. Our next job is then to figure out how to address this within our structures in place that we have in place to handle different situations. Our process guides us in how we deal with things, and sometimes people come to share their concerns because they are upset and they need more information, and the board needs more information too. It's our job as a board to be a bridge for this information, and in order to be this bridge, we need to gather more information and process a clear communication to share what we can about what we can and what we've learned. One of the ways we learn about information is through our superintendent and our policy regarding communication and support to the board. While we may not have information right now at this moment, our process has a way for us to get more information. I hope we can all take a deep breath and know that we will be working to share what we learn as soon as reasonably possible. Thanks for coming and sharing your concerns about the safety and students' learning environment. Board members. Sandy.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there going to be an opportunity today that board members can discuss what we heard, which was very concerning, outside of executive? I don't know what the plans for executive, but will we have that opportunity today?
I'm not sure that we will today because we have a planned agenda and we have to stick to the planned agenda. So this is more about communication, and we have to follow our own processes at this point.
If I may, I would agree with that. And what I find most concerning is that as a board member, I had no idea until today about any of these issues. And the fact that I hadn't been informed, which is required under our policy, to be prepared for possibilities of what may come before us or what is happening in our schools, the fact that I do not know this is concerning. So I agree with you that it is a communication concern, that we are not being informed, which is required, not just at board meetings, but along the way of concerning issues that address the school. That has always been the case, whether it is policy governance or prior systems. So I am concerned that I am hearing this for the first time. I'm also concerned that if we are not going to be addressing this today, I want to make sure that the people who are here have more than 15 minutes to address their concerns so I can actually hear them, so that we can then appropriately put it on an agenda so that we can discuss it with full information from all sides. But I don't want to I don't know where the 15-minute rule comes from when we have such a concerning issue.
And I just want to say that my job is to work with children like we're talking about, and I work at the Howard Center, and there are ways to help schools and children who are extremely emotionally dysregulated. And so I'm sure that, I mean, there are ways to address that in positive ways, and I hope that that will occur, certainly. To support everyone involved.
We're gonna move along because we do need to get to that executive session because we need more information before we take any action.
May I take 30 seconds?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mount, 30 seconds.
My name's Bill Mount, a lot of you know me. I actually ran for board seats. I'm gonna make this very brief. I hear your process. I understand that it is important to have a process, but I also have a background in crisis and emergency management. And when a building is on fire, you don't worry about the recess bell. You evacuate, you take action, and you change the process. So I would say that we have a critical issue before us. It's not something that is of minor concern. You see the representation here, and we expect the school board that we elected to take some action, take this very seriously, not put it under the table, and make this thing happen very quickly.
After we do executive session, is it possible to discuss, once we've had our executive session, whether to consider allowing more information for visitor comments? I realize it's outside of the agenda, but I'm just wondering if that's something that could be left open as a possibility.
I can't, we have to talk.
Right.
We have to talk. I can't give you an answer until we talk.
Okay.
Don?
Rob?
Yeah, I completely agree with the comment just made. This is a situation where a week from now, 2 weeks from now, it's too late. We can warn a meeting for tomorrow night, emergency meeting, give the 24 hours notice right now. We can collect more information in executive session. But these folks deserve that we listen to them. They have a list of requests, okay? What more information do we need when our teachers are here up front asking for help?
Hear you.
Okay?
I also know there's more information you need, so please.
I don't need information filtered through a Lake Wobegon central office lens. This is the lens we should be thinking about and listening to. These are the folks that deliver education, safety, and support to our children. These are the folks that make our ends possible. We don't give them the time of day right now. Shame on us.
I'm over here, I came in hopes to be able to speak, and it's from I see the C over here, and I wish that they can all speak, but I have a child who has been removed from the classroom. I have a child who has been.
I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop. We can't allow someone, even a parent, to come in and, Sean, can you shut it off?
Could go into executive session and then come out and set aside time to figure out next steps as a board.
We could.
I think we need to have a chance to hear a little bit more. And there's a reason in executive that it is an executive session, because there may be things that are confidential and not allowed to be talked about here as a whole public community. But I think that there isn't, that plus what we're hearing now would help us to come back and find some sort of way to say, we're hearing you and we are trying to figure this out, or our superintendent is trying to figure it out, or somebody is trying to figure it out. So maybe if folks are willing to stick around while we go into executive session.
You may have something to say when we come out, but I can't say what that's going to be until all of us can talk. course. So I need to just move the consent agenda along, and then we can move into executive session. And then the only thing in the consent agenda is the minutes.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will move, but, so we need an executive session under Title I, VSA 5313A7, academic record suspension or discipline of students. I'd like to invite Patrick, Katrina, and Susan to join us. Somebody make that motion. We do not need to determine. Andrew?
Second.
Krista? All right. All those in favor of going into executive session at 6:43, please say aye.
Aye.
Brad and Steve? Yep, okay. Any opposed?
No.
Will you're opposed? Would you like it noted in the minutes?
What's that?
Would you like it noted in the minutes?
Not necessary.
Thank you all for waiting. That went a little longer than we expected as well. We're not going to continue on with our meeting. We're going to table the rest of our items because there's no way we can continue. But I do want to make a statement to all of you tonight. We want to thank you for coming to share with us tonight. The safety and well-being of all staff and students is our priority. Patrick will be bringing a team together to more deeply evaluate the process in place and determine what modifications are needed. This will include input from classroom teachers. We understand that this is hard and stressful. We are committed to keep the conversation going. We ask that you please keep communicating with the board as we will continue to monitor and assess the short and long-term progress to address the concerns we heard tonight. We will do our best to keep the community informed.
They have comment.
Really?
A committee is being formed to start a committee. Wonderful.
That will certainly keep our students and staff safe. Thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment from the room?
Anything in the short term? I mean, tomorrow kids go back to school, and barring any issues, we're right back in the same boat, over and over again. I mean, we can continue the discussion all we want. Discussion doesn't get really anything done. Anything in the short term? Any plans? Anything that you came up with in the last hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes you sat there?
3 hours.
3 hours. Sorry, 3 hours. And keep in mind, it's been an ongoing problem.
Right.
This isn't just like the last couple of weeks. This is the last few years. Patrick, I'm sure you're very well aware of that.
You are, and if the board was not made aware of that by before now, then there's a big problem at the central office.
As a parent, I am concerned to send my kids to school tomorrow, whether it's Mount Abe, whether it's Bristol. Are my kids safe at school? If you guys answer me yes, that's a lie. I do not feel that my kids are safe at that school any longer, and I will be very hesitant to send them to Bristol or Mount Abe tomorrow.
Any plans on training our teachers, our aides, other than people who've already been certified for being a CPA? CPI, sorry. I mean, anything? How to handle, how to deal, how to cope? Nothing?
When you tell a
No
parent
workshops,
of
no nothing.
6-year-olds that are sleeping at night and don't want to go to school, and it's not for lack of their teachers trying to keep them safe and reiterate how safe that they are when they are in those situations away from them. But every day, going in, knowing that your 6-year-old does not want to be there because he doesn't know what's going to happen, and she doesn't know if she's gonna be safe, she might get scratched, he might get punched. What do you tell those parents? Like Eva said, we don't feel like we can send our kids, we're trusting you to keep our kids safe for 7 hours of the day, and they're not.
7 hours. 7 hours. Have you ever got a phone call that said your daughter's face will not look the same when you pick her up? Have you ever got that phone call? Because I did. You know what I was told? Oh, we'll look into it. We'll look into it. Did you look at my daughter's face when I sent you that picture? Did you look at her face? So, I'm sorry.
I'm not, I definitely want to hear what you have to say, and I don't want to minimize or value any of those things. I do want to give, if you're comfortable, Patrick, to give a response of specific steps that are being taken that can be expressed on a different level, you know, so that people know that. What I can tell you is in executive session, we're not allowed to talk about other things, but I think what we can say really clearly is that a lot of discussion was made about specific steps that are being taken. Some of these steps cannot be discussed in public because they have to do with particular students. It's just simply illegal. You would not want your child to be spoken about in a public meeting. So we spent I don't know how many hours in there discussing and going over these things and steps that are being taken. I realize that these general statements are really difficult to hear, but we didn't just go in there twiddling our thumbs. Okay, we really talked about this. We have expectations. Patrick does. He's expressed specific things that are being done. And we are serious about hearing and continuing to hear from you. I'm sorry that the immediacy is so difficult. And clearly, obviously, the school, the principal, the administration, they have to do these things. They're the ones, I'm not in the school, I understand. They're in the schools. I get that there's concern. But we did this statement because we have faith that the administration has heard from you. They understand this outpouring. It's very important. And that they are doing what they need to do. Please don't think that we just sat in there and we didn't go through specifics. We spent a lot of time. So I do want people to still express their concerns because we still have a comment period. But at the same time, our hands are tied in certain ways. I'm not saying it should be that way legally, but lots of times it is. But I don't want you to think that you haven't been heard. Okay, I mean that sincerely.
What I want to know and what concerns me the most is that all of you board members were shocked when all this was brought up. This has been ongoing. So why is there no communication from the central office to the board? The board, you are the ones in charge of the central office. And if they can't do their job, then you need to take care of it.
Here, here.
Do I get an explanation as to why? No? No one?
We did have some information last year about some stuff that was going on.
Last year.
Last year, right, at the end of last school year, right?
And nothing was done.
Nothing, yes, exactly. Nothing was done.
Here we are.
It's being shoved, it's being swept under the rug by the administration, and that's unacceptable. We have zero confidence in the administration right now. Everyone here has zero confidence.
Communication from the teachers from the elementary school. What is the protocol? Where's that communication? Where does it fall to? The principal? And then does it fall to you, Patrick? I mean, what's the chain of command here? And then how does that trickle down to the group? I just want to be clear on how this should be communicated.
So I can speak to that a little bit. There have been multiple communications with multiple administrators. There's a new administrator this year, a different one last year. I was involved in communications last year, and I've been involved in communications this year, and that will be ongoing. So it's not an either or as much as it is a both and.
But again,
That's fine.
you didn't communicate to anyone on the board. Why is that? Why was the board not made aware? Why did I have to send an email earlier to the entire board to tell them what was going on? Because they didn't hear it from you. Why?
The reality is there are many challenges that we work through as a school system all the time.
Don't give me that.
We care about this challenge. She asked a question. Was the board made aware?
Oh, my God. This has been going on forever. This is not new.
It is not new. And the way that it was conveyed to parents is unacceptable. It feels like it's being swept under the rug because somebody doesn't want to be held accountable. And I want to know who. Somebody needs to be held accountable, whether it be the board, or it be the superintendent, or it be anyone in that central office, but somebody needs to be held accountable because all of these people here, their voices have not been heard, and they have been begging you for help for the last 2 years.
And our children are paying the price.
So why didn't you tell anyone, Patrick?
I'm not gonna have this conversation with you right now.
But the issues we're seeing now, 10 years from now, you can see in the high school. What do you do then? Right? You coddle them and you do what you think you're doing right by doing nothing. But then on the back end in the high school, you're dealing with it again. Now the kids are older, they're more violent, they're stronger. What? That's fine. That's a conversation between Pat and I.
Maybe it's time for the townspeople to take some action if the board is not willing to, and the superintendent is not willing to. Our children's safety is more important than that.
I feel at the very least, parents should know if there's a clear the hall or if there's a lockdown. It doesn't have to be the entire school, it can be specific classrooms. I'm hearing information from my child, my 6-year-old. About
I get text messages.
clearing the halls, things, it needs to be relayed to parents, so we know what is going on and have steps we can take, whether it be keep our kids home, homeschool our kids, find a different school for them to go to. But at this point in time, there is lack of trust in our kids being safe at the schools, that we trust them to be safe for 7 hours a day. We deserve to know what is going on in that school daily, so we can assess what we're gonna do with our children. It's not for you to make the judgment that we don't need to, we are their parents. We're entrusting you with them. And the fact that all of these clear the halls are being kept from us is not fair. It's not fair to us, it's not fair to the students, it's not fair to the teachers. It needs to be dealt with and taken care of, and it's only fair that you share it with us.
If the communication can't get back to the board members, they can communicate it back to the parents, and we will get it to the board members. Period.
It shouldn't come to something like Thursday's situation to get this to happen, to get you to listen to the teachers at your school, to listen to the parents of the students that are at your school. It's not fair. It's not fair to the teachers to put all of that on them. It's not fair to the parents that we have to hear it second, third, fourth hand from somebody else of what's going on.
A text message from your daughter who's terrified because she's stuck in the office instead of in her class because there's another clear the hall. She couldn't even make it to her class. Couldn't even make it because clear the hall. First place she had to go, office. Mom stuck in the office, can't get to class. What kind of education is that? None. It's not. They're not getting an education. They didn't get an education last year due to COVID. Now they're still not because of violence and everything in this school. I'm sorry, you guys are sitting here saying you're gonna fix it, but have you been hearing this over and over and over? That's enough. It's just enough is enough. Enough parents are done dealing with it.
I know you said that you couldn't tell us what you talked about in executive session, but can you tell us what your timeline is and what your communication protocols will be?
I don't know who's talking.
This is Amy Strachan on the Zoom meeting.
We don't have a timeline at this point because we need some more information.
What information?
Well, I think we said that there is going to be a meeting in the next couple of days.
A couple of days.
And then we're going to get reports back on that from Patrick and his team.
And then how is that going to be communicated to the community?
I think that's a very important question, and that's something that we need to figure out. Because we recognize that that there are communication gaps. And that is part of our job, is to figure out how to identify where those happened and what we can do differently and what we can ask our administration to do differently. And I think this board is committed to that. I also just want to remind folks that we're talking about somebody's kids that are really struggling. And so I think we should all just recognize that we want the school to be a safe and welcoming place for all kids. And so I think we should be careful not to lump in a process for trying to help a kid with an unsafe situation. We might not all agree with the way the processes are working. We need more information about what we try to do as a school district to help these kids that are really in crisis. We need to do better communicating that with families, because I think even the kids that aren't acting out are having a hard time. I know my own kids are having a hard time, but I'm sorry, can I just finish? Yeah. Thanks. So I totally agree that we need to let folks know, hey, things are really hard. Here's what we're trying to do. Because if you don't know, and you hear there's a clear the hall from your kid, that is really alarming. So I think that this group hears that and wishes that we had been able to get in front of that more, or had our administration get in front of that more. And there's work still to be done. I just please ask that we really remember that we're a public school serving kids with all kinds of needs. And so if the way to do that is a clear the hall, that might be what we do. Everyone being safe, everyone still finding a way to be educated, absolutely. But I get a little concerned when we start lumping in a particular practice with safety issues. So I am really concerned about what was brought to us. I just don't want us to go and forget that there's a lot of kids really struggling that we're trying to figure out how to serve.
So I've heard from teachers and families that schools don't have the resources and supports that we need. I also know that the district receives money and is receiving more money to address our funds. Where's that conversation? I know we have talked about it at past board meetings, and there was this sense that we're not going to put it into staff because it's short-term money. But if kids need support right now, that's where the money needs to go, not to new bleachers, right? There was a teacher here from Bristol at that board meeting who said we need it in our school and we need it fast. And there was a lot of hesitancy to put it into staffing because, again, I heard from Patrick, it's short-term money, we can't rely on it. But I think that you need to rely on it right now to help the kids that need it and the families that need it, including kids on either side of this, not for bleachers.
Can you speak to that?
Right now in our school buildings, there are multiple positions equating to hundreds of thousands of dollars of ESSER funds in support of specifically social emotional learning.
Where are those social workers right now? Because I yesterday at Bristol Elementary School.
Where are they?
Different
Because
positions.
social workers also need support. You can't put somebody in a position without the support that they need to support the families and the kids, right? There was a community schools bill that happened in the legislature. Addison Northwest applied for it. They're getting funding to build up resources in schools. Where was Mount Abe in that? We said we didn't have the capacity. Tell that to the families right here. You have the capacity to spend $100 grand on a consultant, right? Where that process has been a little bit of a joke. And I know that you feel like you've taken it seriously, but I know that a lot of folks on the other end don't feel like they've taken it seriously. And I'm quite horrified to hear, as a mother of a young child who's starting in this school system, there's lots of wheels turning in my head right now. My heart is broken for these families whose kids are suffering, both the kids on either end of this. And you were talking about buying bleachers. When you heard from the teachers that they needed support,
it's really sad when our teachers have to lock the doors because they're scared to go to work. That you guys should really think about tonight. When you go to bed, someone locking the door to go to work to feel safe.
Some of the teachers don't have locks on their doors either.
That's unfortunate. But you're saying there's no immediate relief, but there's money for no immediate relief? No, but like, really? That's what we're
So we learned that there were 2 positions added to kindergarten and first grade of behavioral people. And so that was one thing we learned in the meeting that we were in. That there were 2 positions added at Bristol Elementary and that the guidance time was increased by 0.6. And it's October, right? So maybe that's not enough. It's only mid-October. It's been 6 weeks of school. Like I said, I work in 3 elementary schools and we have to clear the halls and have to lock the doors too. It's terrible. It's awful. And I know it's everywhere now, unfortunately. And so, yeah, we need to bump up resources everywhere. And so maybe the things that were added were not enough. And that's part of this meeting that's happening Thursday. What resources more are needed? And I'm sorry it's not happening like now, this minute, but Thursday isn't that far away. And that's part of what that meeting is gonna talk about. Are there more resources needed?
So are you saying parents should keep their kids home until you get those decisions made? Because right now you're not giving them a safe solution for their kids to go to school.
You're not really giving the teachers either a safe solution.
No, absolutely not.
You know, the resources are great, but the reality is, like, what kind of mitigation plan do you have in effect to actually appropriately utilize that? You know, I've heard so many people here this evening, since the short time I've been here, talk about this is not a new thing, and what kind of mitigation plans are in place for something like this as it continues to happen. Are you going to put a kid and reward them for their disruptive behavior and then send them back to class, like I've heard has happened? You know, I mean, I understand, like, it's a shitty place that we're living in right now, all around the world. Like, that's very clear. Everyone's having a hard time. And Kristen, you definitely touched on, you know, yes, it's other people's kids, but it's the levels of incompetence that I've heard over the last couple of years about lack of action is alarming for me, as I know it is for everyone here. You guys have had time to put into play some kind of method that will help to keep the kids and the teachers safe, and it has not yet been done. And I hear the stories, we hear the stories. And if that doesn't chill you to your bone, then maybe it's time for you to scoot your ass out. Tiffany has a hand raised.
Tiffany, hi. I'm concerned with a couple of days to assemble a team. I'm feeling like with all of the issues you've heard today, and I appreciate the people who spoke out to get the executive session to actually focus on these issues. I think there should be a team of people 8 o'clock tomorrow morning at the drawing board, getting sorted about what you're going to do about these issues for the kids who are struggling and can't regulate, for the kids who are going to have PTSD, who've been in rooms with other kids who have been destroying property. I mean, we've got a huge gamut of SEL issues. Get all your coaches,
I'll just sit
all your
here.
whole SEL team together. Let me finish. Let me finish. Together in a meeting with the teachers and figure out what you need to do to get this school back on track. It is not fair. And the meeting should happen tomorrow, not in a couple of days.
Amen.
To further go on what this man said, is it time that we have a vote of zero confidence? Is it time, has it come to that? Because I know the teachers feel that way.
I'm ready to vote.
But no, that's okay. Let me know when you're on your way home.
Perception is reality, and the reality right now is, whether it's the truth or not, I'm looking at each of you board members, and I can see some that are visibly upset and visibly disturbed by it, and then there are others who are like, nah. That's the reality right now, and that's how everyone's perceiving certain people in this room right now. So something needs to be done. Maybe you need to work on your eye rolls, because I've seen you roll your eyes constantly since you've been in here, which is rude, it's inconsiderate, and it's just awful to all these people in here. Go back and watch your tape, you can see it. But then there's people like you, who look visibly concerned, who actually look like you care about our problems, about these people in this room.
I'm sorry, who are you talking about?
Not you, Dawn.
I just want to say that, you know, the discourse is really hard.
Oh, Jesus.
We are, I think, all humans that really care. So I just want to remind folks of that. We're not here because this is fun. So I just asked for a little, this came to us. We are trying really hard. I'm sorry that it came to this. I think we are all really sorry that it came to this.
But I think we need to ask why it came to this.
Please just finish for a moment. I think we're asking, you came to us. We're trying really hard to figure out how to make this better. And we can't do it alone. We need your help, but this isn't helpful.
Okay,
I think
well,
helping us to stay communicating
and ask for your
and
help.
I understand that.
But
And
then
so
why are you acting like this is something new? They've been trying, they've
I
been
understand
begging
that
and
also.
pleading for help, and no one has listened.
What's up with the disconnect? So bottom line, who's talking to who and why are we not actually communicating what's actually happening? Like why is the board not hearing this, Krista?
I don't know.
We need to start there.
So there's also a mental health crisis for children everywhere, which doesn't make this okay. This is a horrible problem. There are, anyway, from my understanding, lots of children up at the ER right now who need inpatient treatment, and it's a systemic problem. Mental health is a systemic problem right now. And, you know, I think all schools are seeing.
We're not talking about all schools.
I know, I know that. I know that.
This big school in Bristol, and that's what, we're not talking about those kids.
Right.
All children need help.
Right,
They
right.
need help. There's a lot going on out
Absolutely.
there, but we need to focus on these kids that need
Exactly.
help right now.
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about the ones who are causing the issues. They obviously need a lot of help. We need to get them help, but first we need to separate them from the children who are trying to learn. They are there to learn and make friends and not be scared of like, oh my gosh, my child was stuck out in the hallway the other day during a clear the halls because he had to go to the nurse, and when the time he came back, his door was locked. Now, as a parent, we don't know what kind of clear the halls is going on. Is there a shooter in the building? Does someone have a knife? What is going on? My point is, all children, I'm not talking about those hospitals. Yes, there are children hurt everywhere. We need to separate the ones that need the help, get them the help, separate them from the ones who want to learn.
There needs to be serious separation.
And not just separate from the day, they need to be separated, like they need a timeout for 3 days or something. I know that they have issues, we need to help them. But The other children need to go to school every day and know that they are safe and not worry about, oh my God, is my poor teacher going to get abused today and yelled at? Is my teacher, oh my God, I can't, I'm done.
It's sad that my high schoolers that I associate with tell me their plan if somebody comes into the school to hurt them. Tell me their plan, because they don't know what type of drill is happening. Is it a shooter drill, like you were saying? They have a plan. Do you know how heartbreaking it is for a 15-year-old to say, this is my plan? I'm not even gonna say their plan because it's their plan. But this is my plan, coach. I'm gonna get to this area and then I'm gonna loop around this area. You need to find me back to where I'll be. That's what's in these kids' head now, because the violence at Mount A, coming from Bristol as well, is that bad that our kids have escape plans. Escape plans at 14 and 15. Did you have an escape plan at 14 and 15 from your school? Did you have an escape plan? Were you worried that every day somebody was going to hurt you or hurt your friends when you were 14, 15? I don't think so. I don't think so.
See, but what disturbs me about what you're saying is that the 14-year-old is coming up with the escape plan, not the school.
Escape plan.
They're not the ones educating the kids on how to handle a situation like that. Kids are educating themselves, so are the teachers.
We also told that to our girls who come to this school, that they need to know where all the exits are. And if they need to get to a safe place, that they need to get themselves out. It's sad that we have to talk to our kids about where the exits are and where they're gonna go.
But it's reality.
And we did just have this discussion.
And I've had a group of kids sit here and say, there's this one kid, he always talks about it, everybody knows about it, he could be it. I'm not gonna point him out, I'm not gonna go into that because that's not what we're here. But they have an escape plan. Think about it, just really go home and really think about that. Your kid goes to this school, she probably has an escape plan. Think about that. Just picture your kid and her escape plan. How heartbreaking that is. You know how heartbreaking it is to have kids tell me their escape plan.
I would encourage parents, if they hear any news that's disturbing about children and what they might be planning, to call the police. Also, I think that's important.
We'll be on the phone all day.
Well, then keep calling, because it's important to see something, hear something, say something, you know, that's important.
That's why we're here.
Doesn't seem to get us anywhere.
Huh?
It's not getting us to the point. The point was the kids have an escape plan.
Oh, I know.
So, I'm relatively new to the district, I started last year. I just think what I'm hearing is that we all need from you direct plan of action, and then how we can hold you accountable for that, and how you intend on communicating that with us. And it needs to be done now. I can't wait till Thursday. We need that. I personally was thinking 3 hours in the other room, they're coming up with a plan to exactly what they're gonna do and how they're gonna start addressing this first thing tomorrow morning. I just bought a house in town. I wanna raise my children here. If this continues to go and I continue to hear this from all of these people, I didn't know half of what was going on until I heard it tonight, and it did not stop the tears from rolling down my face. Am I gonna sell my house and move so I can send my daughter to a better school? What's gonna happen? Like, I can't. You guys need to come up with direct action plans. What you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when we can expect it to be done, and we expect it to be communicated with us. That's what we need from you. Can you deliver that? Can you give that to us?
I have a question about all of the monitoring reports that the board puts forward every other meeting. I followed those over the last year. By and large, they have all reported compliance. Do you think board members and superintendent have been compliant in keeping you up to date on what's going on? those reports have fallen so short of what is actually happening. I'm on my phone here trying to find the superintendent monitoring report, which I believe was all compliant. I think I remember Andrew was the one who wrote it, right, Andrew? Did you do the superintendent monitoring report?
No, board
No.
process.
Board process. Well, also board process, right? Compliant, 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 compliant. And as somebody who's been watching the board operate for a year, 2 years really at this point, fairly new in this process, it's been kind of mind-boggling to me to just see that compliance over and over again, knowing what's going on. Even before this conversation tonight, what's been going on in schools in the district. And you have to address, is this policy governance? What's going on? I really think in the future, the board monitoring reports need to look a lot different.
Is our next meeting 2 weeks?
At this point, yes.
But we're still considering other meetings.
We are considering other meetings. You know, we have more to do. We have to take the time to figure out when we can do it.
We don't have time.
Would it make things move faster if parents kept their kids home for 2 weeks until you had your other meeting to figure stuff out? I know things take time, but it's not, like you said, it's not safe. There are 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds.
They're telling us to send them back to school tomorrow with absolutely no outcome from tonight. None. They're going back to the same situation, locked doors, crying teachers, nothing. You guys got nothing?
Nothing we can share. Nothing that we can share with you. I'm sorry. I'm so.
So what do we do tomorrow morning when we're?
I just sent the kids to school, and you know that there are things that you don't, okay? You know that there are things that you can't know about another
But I
child's
can know how my
plan.
son is gonna be safe, right?
Totally, 100%, yeah.
But so tell me.
Yeah, I will take it because I don't actually teach there and I'm not actually there. Well, I read these letters and I say I should quit the board and go work and go help this kid, right? And so I hear you and I care very, very much. That would absolutely send my kid to school at that school tomorrow. I
Then
would.
your kid wasn't in one of these classes.
He wasn't, but I
There
still
you go.
would. I still would. And I know what it feels like to make emergency plans. I know these things, and I wish that tonight, maybe we could say that we know that there are things, and that the conversation needs to continue, and maybe take a breather. Because this is about that time, it feels like, and I'm sorry, and I'm so glad you're here, okay? And like.
Thank you, Liz.
So Patrick, when we send these kids back to school tomorrow with absolutely no plan and no support for these teachers and someone gets hurt, what is going to be your answer? That's what I thought.
I'm sending my kid tomorrow and I trust that things are going to be okay. It's embarrassing to know that this is the voice of the parents from the school, because we don't understand everything. People are trying, and you will not give any leeway. Yes, there are problems, and it can't be solved in 3 minutes. Yes, it has been brought to the attention. Now it will be dealt with. People need to back off and not be a mob.
But it was brought to the attention over a year ago and nothing has changed. And we're still getting the same answers.
Fully aware, and my daughter is in that class, and I have faith that this is going to change.
It probably will when your child is the one that gets hurt.
We're going to a place that is not constructive. This is not, I'm going to ask that we end now before, one more person.
So I wasn't prepared to speak. I didn't want to speak. I'm not comfortable speaking. We are privileged to be at Bristol, and I don't say that lightly. And people who know our story know that. And we love Bristol. Our 6-year-old is so excited to be back at school because her parents chose to keep them at home last year for personal reasons, and out of her domestic caution. Her first week was extraordinary. And then it all went downhill, and we didn't get it. And we blamed ourselves that we kept them home last year. We did more harm. And then Friday night at the soccer game, it all came to light. And it was repeat behavior and actions that she was acting out that she did in preschool, or last year preschool, right before COVID hit, for similar reasons. I'm not throwing any other child under the bus. I never would. But I was not told until Friday night when I put her into bed, when I probed that she was, as she said, got her gut squished out of her, getting slammed against the wall, but her teacher saved her. That same day on Friday afternoon, I got a call from Nurse Betty saying our other daughter poked a stick in her eye. And I thanked Nurse Betty. And I said, and this is why we love Bristol. We got that communication. And we've got, like, it was, there are surrogate parents out there, the teachers, the administration, the school board. I'm still waiting to be told by somebody at the school what happened to Ada and why she has been acting out and has shown violent behavior in the last 3 weeks. And I was putting it on us, and I was putting on her not adapting and being resilient. So it's the communication. So we know how to deal with it as parents in a healthy way and safe way. Thank you.
We should make a motion to adjourn. There's a second. I'll second. All those in favor of adjourning?
No, point of process, did we put the other stuff on the table, the other action items already? Or
I
not?
think by the fact that we've done it through the process that extended our time. So there's a motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.